Welcome back, baseball fans, to the 76-7-8-9 Carryover League. Wrapping up the end of the season after an incredible World Series. Red Sox winning in 7 games over the Phillies. 4-3, 5 one-game results, 5 one-out, 1-run results, and the home team won every game in that series. And it's time to eliminate the Phillies, who had a shot. They were up 3-2, but could not close it out with a win in Boston. And they have the long off-season of discontent in Philadelphia. Unfortunately for the Phillies, they made a nice run at it. But to get to the World Series, they were fortunate enough to see that the Cincinnati Reds, the Pirates, the Dodgers were already eliminated by other teams. So their only competition in the postseason was the Arizona Diamondbacks and the San Diego Padres. Something to keep in mind as we address who's coming and going for Philadelphia. We'll take out the 76 players first, and then we'll fish those out of here and see who is coming back to a franchise is now that they got that taste of the World Series, a taste they never did have actually during 76 to 78 and 9. They will win the World Series in 1980 according to Major League Baseball, and so that's the expectation now. It's a World Series bust. So let's see who's going to come back and build that roster out. They're going to bring back a ton of hitting and not much pitching so far. 9-3 distribution. But remember, though, they can always trade guys or cut guys from here if they wish, since they're making a World Series run. All right, so Vic Correll, not much there. He's a backup catcher, could be cut. Boone's their catcher. Wayne Cage was their first baseman. Again, that was because I might have been there's 8 rounds in the draft, 32 players per team. This guy might have well been Mr. Irrelevant, the 256th player picked. It was one of those, oh crap, we don't have a first baseman. And they got the last left-handed hitting first baseman who has some ability with homers and OPS. Torres just a journeyman in a middle infield, backup. There's Schmidt coming back, Boa coming back. Wilfong can play second base. He's a free agent. Gross, this is actually a good card for him, a 333 card. You know who else hit 333 for the Phillies in 1979? Some guy named Charlie Hustle. We're not 100% sure he's going to show up here, though. We may do other things with him. And of course, Luzinski, who had an incredible World Series. Pitching. Well, Garber was amazing. He actually lost a game, but his ERA was 0 for the season. He had 12 saves in 26 innings, an ERA of 0, but he gave up a grand slam homer to Bernie Carbo that was unearned because an error led off the inning with 2 outs. In a game that the Phillies lost, and had he not given up that grand slam, the Phillies may have won the World Series, so that's interesting. Okay, so what do the Phillies have to do? All right, so it's going to be Gary Maddox. He should probably, this was his best year, the 330 year of 76. He'll probably come back. There's no reason to really move on from him. He won't have that offense. Johnstone, interesting. Just had 2 great years, hitting 329 and 318 back-to-back. I think his average is going to start to dip now, and he's going to start to become a platoon-only kind of player. So it remains to be seen if he's trade bait at this point, because I don't recall him getting a World Series ring for the Phillies in '80. I think he was with the Dodgers then. So, and then this guy is just the guy who platoons at first with Wayne Cage, who isn't really invited back. Stan Wall, I don't think is good anymore. Jim Willoughby, maybe running out of rope. Boy, Lundborg had a really disappointing season, even though He was an 18-game winner in 76. But here is the guy. It's lefty. And Carlton's going to come back with his 80 card, presumably, which is an outstanding card. Probably, maybe the second best card after 72. So you figure the Carlton card will come back, the Matic card will come back, and it's kind of interesting how the Phillies build this World Series team. They need to make a trade for Tug McGraw, too. Interesting. Wonder how McGraw's going to end up there. Okay, let's start with the 3 hitters and the 5 pitchers. We're going to start with Johnstone first. Jay Johnstone. Okay, now 75 and 76. Boy, those are nice years. He didn't go to the All-Star game. That's a shame. He should have. 329 and 318. So 77, he's still hitting 284 with an 828 OPS. He's right on target. He's still in the window there. Dips a little bit. Actually has 15 home runs, though. So the average drops, so the power increases. That's interesting. And then in 78 and 79, he's starting to tumble a little bit. It's 307 and 80, but it's for the Dodgers, with stops in New York and San Diego before then. He's got a good 77, so this is an interesting one where, for the moment, let's say we're going to keep him. Put a question mark there. Because he's certainly trade bait if they are going to make other moves to build a World Series roster. Gary Maddox is next. I'm guessing he also did not go to the All-Star game in 76 with that 330 batting average, even though he won a Gold Glove and was 5th in MVP voting. 77, he's still hitting 292, 288. Gold Glove center fielder, still hits a lot of triples and so forth. This is kind of a no-brainer. No reason to weaken yourself in center field. So 2 for 2 on keepers. Otto Velez is next. I hope he has a 77 card so you can waive him, because I know he's not ready to retire because he's got a good 80 card. Alright, so 77 for Toronto. And then 80 for Toronto, and then Toronto. Jeez. You put them on waivers. Unless you want to blackmail Toronto that, hey man, and I don't know. I think we're going to keep him, Toronto. Alright, Stan Wall's next. That'd be a mean thing to do to the Blue Jays, who are just trying to form a competitive team. Stan Wall, a lefty, as a lefty, if he's got any kind of a year in 77, I believe they made his card, but it's pretty bad, and if they did anyway. Or am I thinking of Stan Thomas? In any event, I don't think he is worth adding, so we're going to put him on the retired list. And then we'll go from bullpen back to starting rotation. Willoughby. He has a couple more years left. He's got the Red Sox hat on. It must have been bittersweet watching his former team win the World Series. So, 77, he qualifies for waivers. 78, he's not too bad. So, I might want to double check if he qualifies for waivers in 77. So I can put him there. Since he's got a 78 card, that would prevent him from retiring. So let's see, looking at, again, the superds.tripod.com/somrosters.html. It's a great resource. Plugging that there. Boston, do they have Jim Willoughby in 77? And the answer is yes. He's an extra player on the 77th team, which means he qualifies for waivers. And they could even bring him back. But right now, we're going to put him on waivers because he doesn't really have a connection to Philadelphia. All right, next up is Jim Lonborg. And he had a disappointing year, and I think he might be at the end of it right now. Again, used to pitch for the Red Sox, so had to be disappointing for him as well. 74 was his really good year with the Phillies. Had a nice whip this past year. So he qualifies for waivers by appearing in 77, with the Phillies in 78, in both years. But he's not really very special, is he, at this point? 11-4 though in 77 with a 4.11 ERA. Tentatively, since we're trying to get 4 keepers, we're going to put Lomborg as a keeper, kind of a question mark too. He's also trade bait, but he's not nearly as good as the Johnstone trade bait would be. Brent Strom is next. Taken from the Pottery organization. Beginning of his career was not very good. 75 and 76, he had back-to-back good years. And then that was it. He must have gotten hurt. Probably hurt himself, because he only had 16 innings after a 200-inning season. His career is over at 28. Sad to see that. So Brent Strom's career is over, and he goes on the retired list. So we have 2 definite retirees. Again, the retiree column is the most significant, because if the guy doesn't play in Strat, you can't move that guy into a waiver pool or to a keeper pool. The keepers and the waivers can be moved into the retirement pool. And lastly, Steve Carlton. Let's just confirm that. Let's confirm a few things about WHIP. First of all, I'm thinking that 67 World Series he would have pitched in Fenway Park, I'm guessing, right? It's probably the only other time he pitched in Fenway until this World Series we just played. So there's a 72 with the 0.99 WHIP, and then the next time he's down to in the ones is 80, 109, and then 112 and 81. So yeah, we'll 27 win season, we'll call it his best season. And then this 80 season may as well be his second best season. So I think 80 is slightly better than 81, barely. Of course, the starts, the innings pitched, the strikeouts, he leads the league in all these things. So Carlton's, and if we ended the season like that for the Phillies, they'd have the perfect 4-2-2. 4 keepers, 2 waivers, and 2 retires. So they may just proceed with that, but they're going to answer the phone for if anybody wants Jay Johnstone or not. And they bring Lomborg back. I guess it would be a number 4 starter, or maybe the long man in the bullpen. I mean, at least if you want to win a World Series. Also, on keepers, you can designate a guy as a keeper. Then during the draft, if you don't want the guy, you don't have to draft the guy. It's just giving that team protection so that nobody can take him away from you. And the waiver designation means that anybody can claim that player in the draft. All right, so that's it for the Phillies tonight. The future looks bright. They're going to put a 77, 78, 79, 80 team on the field. 77 and 78, they were in the League Championship Series. They weren't in 79, but they won the whole enchilada in 80. They have to improve Carlton. They could improve Schmidt 1 year sooner than he needs to be just to get that incredible 80 card, or they could wait and do the 81 card, which is more incredible. And of course, they need to get Tug McGraw along with Gene Garber in this bullpen to nail down these late inning games. Had they had another pitcher other than Gene Garber good in the bullpen, they may have elected to pull Carlton in that Game 7 a little sooner than that. And who knows what would have happened. But water under the bridge. That was that season. Philly is looking ahead to next season. That's it tonight. Thanks for checking out the video. We'll see you next time.